of you for coming out here today. First of all, I mean, it's an honor and a privilege to be putting this jersey on. And so a big thank you to Ray Davis and Chris Young for making this possible. You know, when you step back from the game for a little bit, that gratitude meter shoots way up when something special like this happens. So again, I can't tell you guys how grateful I am to be here. Now, I know some have asked why. Well, the simple answer is I miss this game. There's so many things about the game I miss. In the dugout, the competition, being on the team. But beside that, I said if I'm going to jump back in the fire, it had to be the right fit. And after our many conversations that CY and I had, that was pretty evident. I mean, we talked many hours about the team and the culture that he wanted to create, and I was in. I could see and feel the passion, commitment that he has to building a winning culture here and bringing winning baseball back to the Ranger fans. So I was all in on that. And then I had a chance to chat with Mr. Davis, and he shared the same vision, and the rest of his staff. And what I really appreciated was how connected they were, and the same overarching theme was it's time to play winning baseball here, and they had enough of the losing. So again, that's why I'm very excited to be here. I'm also excited to be here to work with this team. Now, I know they didn't have the season they had hoped, but I tell you, man, when I look at this team, and I look at the core players and the deep system and the vision that CY has, I got excited. I just see tons of potential for next year and years beyond. And so I can't wait to be a part of it. And I'm excited to work with all the players that are here today. I can't thank you enough for being here. It means a lot to me that you showed up, and so thanks for that. I look forward to working with you and getting to know you and making some memories. I go back quite a few years, but this is where I started my career in this state. So I'm going to say it's good to be back in Texas. I love Texas, and so it's exciting to be back here. I'm looking forward to, just getting to know this community and the fans. I know. I've seen, I don't want to go back then, but I've seen how excited and how much they care about their Ranger baseball. So I'm excited about that. I have family here too, so that's a plus too. So I get to spend more time with them. I do want to talk about this building we're in. I mean, you're talking about incredible. It's the first time I've been here. I'd been to the old ballpark, but they gave me a tour, and just amazing what they've done here. The clubhouse, and so I'm looking forward to coming to work here every day, and you can't have a better place to create this winning culture that I know CY wants to create and inspire these players to want to come to work every day to get better. And so we're very lucky to have this kind of venue. I do have to say there was one box I did have to check off, and that was my family. And I have two adult sons, and boy, they were all in. They're so excited about this. Now, I will say, my wife Kim, it was a little bit. I had to convince her a little bit more, but after conversations with Chris and Ray and the group, she's here, and so I can't thank her enough for getting on board and being excited about this. Now, there are some other people I would like to acknowledge here. I see a lot of the front office. I really look forward to getting to know you, and I hope we develop that culture to where you're comfortable coming up to me, and so we can get to know each other. So that's important to me. It really is. Also, in this game, in our business, your ability to recruit and develop great talent, it's critical to your success. And I know that we have our scouts here, they're having their meetings, so I want to thank you guys for being here. I know you're here for a week, so I look forward to getting to know you, talk to you, and find out more about our players. So that's going to be exciting for me. And probably the last thing I'd just like to say, I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to help bring a championship here to Texas. And I know we have some work to do, but I can tell you I'm all in on this. So to the front office, to the players, to all the fans, man, let's do this together, okay? Thank you.
We got to kind of get to start to see names and faces. So we'll start with right here with Emily. Right behind you.
Hi, Emily Jones, the Rangers dugout reporter.
I know who you are.
Amy G said to tell you hi.
Hi.
There had to be a lot of questions that you had. I'm sure the interview process was a two-way street. What questions did you have about this organization that you felt like you got the answers to ultimately say yes to this?
Well, I think more than anything, Emily, I just wanted to know their vision. Again, I know the year didn't go like they had hoped, but I do know the investment that they made last year and to get these core players, and that was important to me, is where they thought they were, what they thought they needed, and how passionate. I think we have a hurricane coming in right now, but anyway, that was important to me, just to see the direction and what they thought. And like I said, you just feel it when you talk to CY. I know he grew up here. This community means so much to him that he wants to get this turned around in the worst way.
Jeff Wilson with Rangers Today.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Jeff Wilson, Rangers Today. You said there's a lot of work to do. So what's first on the list? What do you think is the most pressing thing that has to get straight?
I'm embarrassed to say. Can y'all hear?
Yeah, I can't hear.
Did
I
you
didn't hear the
hear?
question.
Oh yes, if we have a lot of work to do. Well, these are things we're talking about now, and we will continue to talk. And it's going to happen right after this press conference. We're going to get to work on it. But I think it's fair to say, we're looking to build the pitching, strengthen that. We've talked about adding a bat, things like that. But again, we got a great core here, and but there's some pieces to add, and these are things we're talking about.
Bruce, Newey Scruggs, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
With NBC5, can you go back to 2010 when you won your first World Series and what you thought the experience was with Ranger fans and coming here in Arlington?
God, I missed the last part. Oh yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I had seen from the other side. I've seen these fans in the frenzy and how excited they were about their team, and what great fans they were. I know it didn't turn out like you had hoped here in 2010, but I got to experience it, and they were wonderful. They were into their team, but very respectful. They love baseball, and obviously it was a great moment for us, but and for them. I think anytime you get the World Series, that's what it's all about, and so it's good to know and have a little feel about how much they love baseball here.
Bruce, Mike Ducey with Fox 4, welcome.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you about the difference in day-to-day responsibilities of a manager now compared to when you started managing in the big leagues. What kind of adjustments you've had to make, and possibly the kind of adjustments you'll continue to have to make in this job.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fair to say this game's evolved, and you get added departments, and you get your analysts, PD, things like that, and so I think a manager today has to be able to communicate and connect with more people, and that's what I hope to do, and have that continuity and make sure that we're all on the same page. It's just going to be so critical for myself, the staff, to be connected with everybody, and I have to have the ability, to do that, to connect with front office analysts. I'm very open-minded. It's one thing that I want everybody to know. Sometimes they look at a manager that's a little bit older and hey, he's old school, whatever. But I want the input. I want all the information I can get. But probably more important is how you transfer it to make sure it's done in a productive way, and that's part of my job and the staff's job to make sure that we do that.
Kennedy, can you hear me? Kennedy Landry, MLB.com. My question's actually for Chris. Last year when you signed all those free agents, you talked about how you're pretty honest about the hill they had to climb after the 100-loss season. How did you approach kind of that with Bruce going into this compared to maybe getting free agents?
Yeah, Kennedy, the exact same way, with full transparency and honesty of where we are as an organization, what we're looking to accomplish. We recognize there's a ton of work to do, but we believe in the vision we have. We believe in the people that we're choosing to be a part of this. It started last year with obviously the free agents we brought in, and Corey and Marcus specifically, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to build internally. We're going to look for the right external fits, but I think most importantly, having the right leader in the dugout to help us get that, and the environment to get the best out of everyone is critical, and we're very excited to have Boch in the dugout helping us do that.
Brad Townsend, Dallas Morning News. Welcome.
Thank you.
This question is actually from Mr. Davis. Both Bruce and Chris described your role in the hiring as integral. Why was it important to you to take an integral role, and what was it about Bruce that made him the guy to hire?
Why don't you go first, Chris?
Brad, I think you want Ray to answer.
Well, the process started with Chris. He called me and said he wanted to interview Boch, and I had a hard time getting over 2010. But then after I got over 2010, I thought that was a pretty good idea. CY went to Nashville and I think met for like 7 hours with Kim and Boch. And I can honestly say, and I haven't talked to either one of these two guys about this, but I don't know if there was a fire in Bochy to go back to managing or not. But if there was, I think Chris fanned it. He spent a lot of time going through our 27-man roster, our 40-man, our prospects, our vision, where the franchise is going. And I think if it didn't light a fire in Bochy, it fanned it and got it burning. So by the time that we went back to Nashville, I think most of the questions, my first question to him was, why do you want to do this? You got skins on the wall. And he went through the reasons why he was ready to take the challenge on again. And it didn't take long. In between CY's visit and my visit, he knew as much or more about our team and our prospects that I did. He'd done his homework. He's obviously very bright and very committed. And it took about 10 minutes into the process where I was sold.
Ray, this is Kevin Sherrington, Dallas Morning News. The teams that are in the playoffs this year and now going to the World Series all had payrolls approaching $200 million. You have said you want to win now, and that's one of the reasons why y'all have made the moves you have. Are you prepared to approach that kind of barrier?
It's interesting to note that the two highest payroll teams in baseball didn't play this weekend. So it's just not about the money. It's partially that, but I've made a commitment to CY that we're going to spend the money that it takes to put a competitive team on the field. And it's not just for 1 year. We're looking to put a competitive team on the year for multi-years. So to answer your question, I don't know where the payroll is going to end up, but we'll be competitive.
Joseph Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Chris, questions for you. Obviously, you know Bruce, and you've spoken fondly of him before. When it came to actually conducting a managerial search, though, in this role, how did you kind of maybe have to push out the past a little bit, or even consider it, going through the whole process?
Yeah, it's one of the things I told Bochy when we offered him the job. I said, I'm not doing this because I loved you when I played for you. I'm doing this because we believe as an organization you're the right person to lead us into the future. I recognize when I played for Bochy in 2006, that was a long time ago. I have special memories from that time. I've seen what he's gone on to do since then, but evaluating what our needs are right now and where we're headed as an organization, that's what this decision was about. And Bochy fit every part of our criteria in terms of that. And I'm very, very grateful that he chose us.
Hey, Bruce, the 2010 Giants had a lot of homegrown talent, a lot of homegrown starting pitching. Do you see a lot of potential similarities between that ball club and the Rangers here in the next year or two?
I do, and that's why I touched on, not just the core players, but how deep their system is, and that's how you not only, win, but sustain winning is those kids come up through your system, and I think they've done a great job in their draft and developing these young kids, and you're starting to see it now. You saw it last year with Jung, and you got some that are really, knocking on the door now, and I look forward to seeing them in spring training. And I'm going to try as much as I can to get these young kids out there during these spring training games so I can get to know them even more, but even on the lower level. But this system, it's known for how strong it is. So I think, that's what excited me as much as anything is, what can happen even beyond next year.
Bruce, Mac Engel with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. A lot's been made how the role of the manager has evolved over the last 10 or 15 years. In your mind, is it really that much different today than it was when you were with San Diego or even San Francisco?
Yeah, yes and no, and I say that because you still manage your people. That never stops. It's the same as when I started in 1995, and that's what I'll be doing now. So I think that's the most important part of managing. But like I said, it's probably a little bit more collaboration, and you have to communicate probably a little bit more, with your departments. But it comes down to doing things in the right way in baseball, I think, and for me, I try to keep it simple. I think of three things. I'll start with fundamentals. I mean, we can talk about, what's happened in baseball, and it's been good with all the information stats that we get, but you still got to do things on the field that you did 100 years ago, and that's catch the ball, run the bases, make sure you're thrown to the right base, things like that. The second thing, and I know Chris is big on this, is you have to develop a chemistry culture for the club, and you want to inspire these players to unleash their talent and play as one, and that's never going to stop, whether back then or now. And I don't want to treat these players as numbers. They're not robots. I want to know them. I want to know what makes them tick, read them, and so it helps me maybe put them in a better role to where they can succeed. And of course, the last one is preparation. That's never going to stop. You want these guys prepared and not be surprised. And that's the same for me. Before every game, I try to think through every scenario. So, that's why I say yes and no.
See why this one's a bit of a two-part question. First of all, how beneficial and what kind of a resource will Bochy be for you in this role that you now take on? And then two, the staff, how will that be constructed?
Emily, it's a great question. I think a big part of this decision was me evaluating where I am and what my needs are, also in addition to what the organizational needs are, and understanding that while there were very good candidates out there who have never managed before, for me in this moment, having an experienced manager in the dugout not only suited me, but I think is what is best for our organization, our players. So it was a big part of the decision. In terms of the staff, we obviously have a couple open spots right now. We're going to start working on that this week with Bochy, figuring out, starting with a pitching coach. We've got some good candidates on a list. We're going to start working through that, and hopefully in the coming weeks, start shoring up our coaching staff.
Ray, what message do you want your fans to take away from this hiring here and the moves that you've made this season?
Yeah, I think all positive. I think it was a big step in hiring Bochy. But I look at it like it's a big rock and a foundation, and I think we're building something very special. And he's part of that big rock. CY's part of that big rock. And as we build that wall, I think it'll be sustainable for a long time to come.
Yes, I'm Ozzy Garza with the Fort Worth Weekly. My question, Boch, is what's significant about number 15 that you're going to be wearing?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wish I had a good answer for you, but I was 13, and if you looked at my stats, I was trying anything to change that and become a better hitter. So I thought 13 was bad luck, and 15 became available, and that's what I got. You know, when you're a role player, it's not like you get the first choice anyway. So that was the one they gave me.
Chris, you said there's a short list of candidates. How short was the list?
Yeah, Jeff, I don't want to get in the weeds too much, but there were several, and we were willing to expand beyond that once. But once we identified Bochy and he was interested, we narrowed it very quickly and knew that he was the right person for this job.
Okay, and then to clarify on the coaching staff, are the guys who have been invited back are all coming back?
Yes.
Alex Blink, Dallas Sports Fanatic. Chris, regarding pitching coaches, the last few years you guys have done with co-pitching coaches, is that still a possibility, or are you guys just looking for one guy?
We haven't worked through that yet, Alex, but I think we'll probably lean towards a head pitching coach, potentially consider an assistant pitching coach, but likely go with one pitching coach in charge.
Bruce, Stephen Hawkins with the Associated Press. One of the things that was talked about how much you missed the game, and then Ray talked about how if you hadn't had the fire going, that Chris obviously fanned those. At what point when Chris called you, how quick did you want this opportunity, and how refreshed are you after a few years away, both mentally and physically?
Yeah, you missed the game, as the years go. And I had a wonderful time with my family for 3 years. I would like to say that, but the more time went and watching the games, the more I was missing it. Now I wasn't going out pursuing anything, and then when CY called me, just be honest, man, my interest perked up, and then we started talking, and he's checking my appetite on doing this, and then listening, to what he wanted to do here, his vision, and then coming out to Nashville, and we talked for hours, and I was done. I was sold after that, and of course, Mr. Davis came out, and so it was an easy one for me, and I still had the fire. I feel great, and I'm thankful, that I was staying in the game a little bit, and I have to thank the San Francisco Giants for having a position for me the last 3 years. I did try to help out the French team, and I'm glad they didn't do a little more betting because we didn't do very good there. But anyway, so I was excited. I was pumped. So I'm really, again, just excited and looking forward to going to work after we're done here.
Bruce, you said it was an easy decision once you talked to CY, but you also said it had to be the right opportunity to come out of retirement. What really made this one the right opportunity for you?
Well, again, just listening, to CY, Ray, his front office staff, looking at the team, all the things I talked about, the city here. I love it here. I hadn't seen the ballpark, so that wasn't part of it. But if I would have come here, that would have been a slam dunk. Again, how nice it is. So, I think all those things, all the above things, is really what excited me. And we've known each other for a while. Chris talked about it, and so it just had to be. I just felt like it had to be the right fit for this to happen. And after conversations, I knew it was.
Yeah, Chris, when you hire a World Series winning manager, the first word that comes to my mind is credibility, the credibility it brings to the franchise. In your experience, how much, first of all, what's been kind of the reaction from the baseball world in the last couple of days? And then in your experience with today's players, how much would that credibility matter in terms of maybe even attracting players here?
Well, Brad, I can't speak necessarily to the second part. Time will show, but I am confident that by having Bochy in our dugout and leading our team, this is a very attractive destination. In terms of the first question, one of the things I did was I really reached out to a lot of executives within the game that I respect that have been very successful and got their opinions on this. And almost unanimously, Bochy's name came up in every conversation. And given the relationship, given the familiarity, what we need at this moment, and where we're headed, it became very clear to me that he was the perfect candidate for this job. And I was grateful that they let me overstay my welcome in Nashville, and Bochy and Kim didn't kick me out after a 7-hour visit. But nonetheless, I'm happy to know and hear that that excited him and got him ready to come back and consider this opportunity. But very grateful that it's worked out.
Anything else? Okay, we made it through the rain. Thank you.
Thank you.